The financial crisis media has brought the idea of a US dollar collapse to the mainstream in a way that has not been seen ever before. There's always been a dark corner of the internet and the media that has proposed the idea of the collapse of the United States via the death of the US dollar. But for the first time in recent time, we're now seeing mainstream conversations, narratives being pushed about the collapse of the US dollar due to the collaboration of countries around the world to more Eastern leaning power structures like China and Russia. We're going to talk about what the US dollar has to do on a global economy and bring it all the way back home to what it has to do with you and your wallet. We're going to talk about what position you need to be in. What does a dollar collapse look like if it were to happen? And what do you need to own? What do you need to hold in order to sustain and even potentially thrive through a dollar collapse if we were to live through such an event? We're going to cover that in this video. This is JP from Blueprint for Prosperity, helping you to increase your net worth through relationship banking, maximizing your borrowing capacity, proper use of life insurance, and the ownership of real estate. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'm uploading content on a daily basis to help you customize your blueprint for prosperity. So the US dollar has a pretty extensive history as a paper currency that goes back a couple hundred years or so, give or take. But the difference in what's been going on that's causing the conversation of a dollar collapse has been that the US dollar has largely been pegged to tangible assets, in particular, monetary metals, precious metals, gold and silver. It's only been a little over 50 years that we've been completely detached from gold and silver as a backing to our currency. And many would argue that from that, we went on to a oil-backed dollar by collaborating with Saudi Arabia and other countries in that area by forcing the rest of the world to purchase that oil through US dollars, which kept a steady demand for the currency. And that put it on a global stage as the dominant currency around the world. Well, many are contesting as these other countries that are considered our rivals are emerging as major players on the international stage militarily and just geopolitically overall, that they are finding ways to create infrastructure and connection that will circumvent and eventually completely evaporate the power of the US dollar. How does this happen? Well, generally speaking, these countries are building their infrastructure in a way that allows them the ability to not depend on the dollar to exchange for other valuable goods. Paper currencies are simply a medium of exchange of value. They are something that is easily divisible, that can be carried around and mobile. It's convenient to exchange value. It was the evolution of the barter system where we would exchange other valuable goods directly. So if you wanted eggs and I had silver, or if you had grain and I needed salt, versus having to change these things out and carry them around and all these other inconveniences and other issues that were going on, the concept of paper currencies created this stabilization and this convenience around exchanging value. I hope that's making sense. The US dollar is just another paper currency that fulfills that mission, that purpose. And due to the premise of what our country was founded on and us becoming a global power, there was a lot of effort into making our currency the dominant currency, thus giving us the economic jumpstart and head start that we've had into this new modern world, beyond the industrial age, into the information age. That economic power from a strong dollar allowing us to control imports and exports, allowing us to control the flow of resources around the world greatly to a great degree, has granted us a lot of power and a lot of quality of life here in the United States. That is being contested by the collaboration of power structures all around the world coming together against the US dollar. And that's what the media is putting out there right now. I want to bring it to you in black and white. The reality of this situation is that the US dollar has come at the benefit of many of us here in the US and come at the detriment of many other countries around the world. Our ability to sanction countries is dependent on the strength and the demand and the need for US dollars, and our ability to, cut people out of the financial system internationally, it's all based around our strength in the US dollar and a few other factors. And so with this being something forcing other countries to have to come up with ways to continue to survive when they get on the wrong side of the United States. With this coming to pass, what's going on is now many have been screaming from the rooftops that at some point in time, these countries are going to get it together. We're going to come to enough of a decline where they're going to be able to create an entire international monetary and financial system that does not depend on the US dollar anymore. And if this were to happen, then at this point in time, it completely changes the landscape of our quality of life in the United States, because our quality of life has been completely built upon the strength of the dollar and the control that the dollar has allowed us to have as a country on the international and domestic stage. If that were to shift and we no longer had that power, then that would put us in a really bad position potentially. And bringing this back home to you, that basically means that if you are in the wrong position, meaning that the majority of your net worth, economically speaking, is wrapped up in the US dollar, and the US dollar takes some precipitous decline or is completely wiped out in some form or fashion, then that means that everything in your bank account, those digits in your bank account, and that cash that can potentially be sitting in your house or in your wallet or purse could be completely irrelevant. And that can put you in a really bad financial position, obviously, because you no longer have a median or mean to exchange value. You have no middle ground to exchange value now. So if you don't own anything of value tangibly, then the US dollars you have in your pocket and in your bank account, the digital dollars you have in your bank account, are completely useless to you. So speaking of value exchange, this brings me to how you need to prepare yourself if you're somebody who believes that the US dollar may collapse in your lifetime, in our lifetime. You need to have access and accumulation to real assets. This is going to include precious metals, other resources, barterable goods, owning real estate, owning land. These are going to be things that no matter what currency is in place, whether it's another paper currency, a gold-backed currency, or a digital currency, these things will still be valuable. They will have to be revalued in whatever monetary system we emerge in if the dollar were to collapse. And it's a very simple formula. You don't want to be stuck holding the median of exchange that is no longer valuable or no longer able to exchange that value. You want to be holding the items that retain the value that the median normally facilitates the exchange of. Hopefully that makes sense. Again, you want to hold the valuable items that the dollar has normally exchanged the value of. If the dollar goes away, it's going to be replaced with something. And if it is, when it is, then that means whatever you hold, whether it's precious metals, grains, wheat, whatever, whatever, homes, land, these things are still tangible, valuable assets. No matter what currency, what medium of exchange, they still are valuable to human beings, and people will still give other valuable things for them. You need to own that if you want to defend yourself or even just possibly prep for the concept of a dollar collapse. What's the reality of the dollar collapsing in our lifetime? Personal opinion, 2 cents that I have, it's not likely. This is not going to be a one-time black swan event where we wake up one morning and the US dollar is completely useless and worthless, and everybody's running out in the streets panicking and chaos ensues. This is likely going to be a death of 1,000 paper cuts situation, meaning that there's going to be many, many small stabs that there's already been to the US dollar's global hegemony and its high-ranking value around the world. Countries are going to continue to put together infrastructure domestically and internationally and collaborate with each other to find ways to exchange value outside of the dollar. And this is going to devalue the dollar and drop the value of the dollar internationally, and also force those dollars to start to have to come back to the US less and less valuable, which is going to create economic chaos. But it's going to be a slow boiling of the frog. It's not highly likely that we're going to see a singular event This is where the financial crisis media gets it wrong, in my opinion. They continue to promote this narrative that this one single event is going to happen and we're going to just wake up and everything's going to be on its head when it comes to the US dollar collapsing. And the reality is that that's highly unlikely. It's going to take years, if not decades, for these other countries to get off their dependency for the dollar and put together a successful, functional infrastructure to replace it. Because you have to understand, they still have to exchange value efficiently as well. And the dollar has done a phenomenal job at that for a long time. It's not going to be an easy replacement. This is going to hopefully allow those of you who have these type of concerns to make the appropriate moves in your lifetime. And if it goes beyond your lifetime, to make the proper moves and pass the proper education to your family and your next generation. Have tangible assets. It's a simple equation. It's not complicated. The US dollar is just a means of exchange. If it goes away, it will be replaced with another means of exchange. You just want to own the physical, tangible things that people are willing to exchange other valuable things for. And when that new implementation of currency, digital currency, gold-backed currency, whatever it is, comes along, whatever you're holding will still be valuable. And maybe you'll even be wealthier. You just need to be on the right side of the equation. I'm here to try to dispel and calm down some of the anxiety for those of you who catch this video around this US dollar collapse. It is a possibility. It is a potential real thing. It is something that seems to be picking up steam, but it's not something highly likely to happen tomorrow overnight that you need to be building some prepper bunker, in a basement somewhere and stacking up a bunch of random food items. I'm not knocking the prepper movement, but this idea that we're going to wake up or this one event's going to happen in 6 months or China's going to link up with this country and this is going to collapse this in 2 weeks is not realistic. It's going to be a slow, methodical process as it's been for years now. If it was so easy and so fast to collapse the dollar, I'm sure there's countries out there who would have pulled that rug from under us a long time ago. Don't panic, just prep. Don't be scared, just take action. Educate yourself, take action. Own tangible assets, precious metals, other valuable resources, real estate, land, other property, food resources, water resources. These things will always be valuable to humankind. It doesn't matter what we use to exchange it in the middle. I wanted to bring this to you because it was going to be valuable content and valuable perspective. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you can use it to take action, and I hope it calms your nerves a little bit if you've been watching some of this hysteria. As always, I want y'all to comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. Give me your feedback on, what position you have on this and what kind of action you're taking if you do believe this is a concern in our lifetime. Comment down below. Stay focused. Stay in motion. I'll see y'all soon.